Hey everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with another Bad Batch review, everybody. Jesus! So, we got the first episode of this show, which was 70 minutes long, on Tuesday, which was Star Wars Day. And damn, we got the second episode on a Friday, because that's when it's going to be airing, is Friday, because that's when Disney Plus likes to throw their shows on, especially their more popular ones. So, we got 2 episodes in just a few days. So awesomeness. I honestly looked last night before midnight because I was like, I wonder if there's gonna be an episode on today, and sure as shit there was. And it was only a 30-minute episode, like the rest of these are probably gonna be, except for maybe the last one. So, and this one picks up right where the last one left off, and our Bad Batch are heading to the planet that they said they were going to go to because they knew somebody there, and they're going to Silica Mine, and we find out that they are going to see Cut and Sue, everybody. And if you watched the Clone Wars, you know who Cut is. He is a clone that decided to drop all of the military, being a clone, and the war and everything, and he wanted to go have a family with his wife Sue, and they had kids and everything. So, and the Bad Batch knows him, and we also get a little name drop when they go there. Rex, another familiar name from the Clone Wars and Rebels. And that's what's cool about this show, is like, this show is very connected to the Clone Wars and Rebels. More the Clone Wars, I would say, but it has a lot of stuff that connects it to Rebels also. And like, and that's the thing, like, if you haven't, I would say if you haven't seen the Clone Wars, especially the Clone Wars, Rebels you could probably get away with, but I think you should watch the Clone Wars and possibly Rebels if you're going to watch this show, because I could see how people might be a little lost and confused if they're just watching this and not knowing who some of these characters are, because there's a lot of weight added to these interactions with these certain characters because of what has happened in the Clone Wars and then what happens later on in Rebels. So, like, I feel like if you're going to watch The Bad Batch, you really probably should go back and watch the Clone Wars at least. I think you should watch all of them, even the Rebels, because they're phenomenal series. Dave Filoni is amazing with this shit. He is like a genius. He's a Star Wars genius. He's awesome. He's so good at doing this stuff. I hope they never let him stop working on these shows. Like, seriously, I really hope they don't. So yeah, they go to Silica Mine, and they're talking to Cut and telling him kind of what's going on. And they find, like, Hunter finds out about the inhibitor chips through Cut. And he's kind of like, what? Like, really? And then Omega, when they land, so Omega, you know, our little female clone that was not a proper clone, she was made weird, so she's joining the Bad Batch. Like, she wants to go along with them, and this was the first time that she has ever been on a different planet, and she gets so excited to see dirt. Like, so excited, and I love that. Like, the excitement on her face from the simplest little things as stepping foot on a different planet. And we get some interesting and cool little scenes with her and the kids that of Cut and Sue playing and learning how to be a kid and all this stuff with her. So, because she's been on Kamino the whole time, like, she hasn't ever really had a chance to be a kid. So that's some pretty cool stuff right there. And another thing about the episode is it's pretty, like, as far as scale, it's really small compared to the last one, because it's just there isn't a lot of action. There is some, but there's just a lot of interactions with the Bad Batch, you know, talking to Cut and Sue, and they find out that they need to get off this planet, and Hunter and the Bad Batch want to help Cut and Sue get off the planet, because the one thing that's really cool about this show is they're really showing the very, very early beginnings of the Empire weeding out the Republic and how the Republic did things. Like, because the clone troopers are still around, but all of the Imperial officers and everything are wearing the normal outfits and get-ups that we're used to seeing when the Empire's around. And they're showing like how they're changing things. Like the freaking Empire tells everyone that like if you want to travel off planet, you have to take your currency and turn it into a chain code. And that is basically the Empire's way of giving every single person in the galaxy a code, a number, so you can be tracked and they know about you. And like that's the first like steps of the Empire, like literally taking complete control. And I love that they're showing the early beginnings of that. That's what I think is super intriguing about this show for me. I love the Bad Batch. I love the characters. But I feel like at this point right now, I'm more intrigued to see how all that goes down and plays out. Because like when Solo happens, 10 years after episode 3, at least I think it's about 10 years, like the Empire's got a firm foot on the galaxy by then. So this show is showing us the early workings and beginnings of that. And that's the part I'm like very intrigued about so far, is seeing how that all plays out. And I hope Kanan comes back. I hope they run into him again. I really do, because I love that connection to to Rebels with the Bad Batch. I love that shit. So, and I gotta tell you, D. Bradley Baker, he's the guy that voices all the clones, and he has in the Clone Wars, Rebels, the whole time. The dude is talented because he literally voices all of the Bad Batch characters, all of the clones. So if you're watching this, he's probably like 80% of the voice acting in this show so far. And the dude does a phenomenal job. Seriously, the way he does the different voices for the Bad Batch, phenomenal job. And like he did the voice for Cut. So like in this episode, he literally did almost all the voice acting. So like basically if you look at it, it's literally like 80% of the voice acting. The guy does a great job. So it was a fun episode. It was a little more laid back, a little smaller than the first episode, but the first episode had to introduce us to what's going on. I'm really excited to see where the show goes. Like I said, I'm very intrigued to see how they show the Empire slowly take over and weed out the Republic, weed out the clone troopers. I'm really excited to see this stuff. So it's a great show so far, everybody. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and I appreciate you for watching. And I'll be catching you on the tube later, because I have spoken.